Hello and welcome to our CoSIDA Special Awards video tributes. Today, we are honoring our distinguished 2020 and 2021 Keith Jackson Eternal Flame Award recipients. I'm Ira Thor, Senior Director of University Communications at New Jersey City University, and I'm thrilled today to speak to our most recent Keith Jackson Award honorees. The first person we will recognize is our 2020 award recipient, Malcom Moran. Malcom is the director of the Sports Capital Journalism program at IUPUI, that's Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis. And Malcom also is the executive director of the United States Basketball Writers Association, the USBWA. The Keith Jackson Eternal Flame Award is presented to an individual who has made a lasting contribution to intercollegiate athletics, has demonstrated a long and consistent commitment to excellence, and has been a loyal supporter of CoSIDA and its mission. One of CoSIDA's highest honors, this award is only given when deemed appropriate by the CoSIDA Executive Board of Directors. Welcome, Malcom, and congratulations. It's an amazing honor, and I'm honored today to be interviewing a friend.
Well, thanks, Ira. Same here. It's great to be with you, and I'm still flabbergasted by this honor. I mean, it's a remarkable thing, and I'm so appreciative.
And most deserving. Before becoming executive director of the USBWA, you embarked on two impressive careers in journalism, one as an award-winning sports reporter and columnist at 4 major newspapers over 30 years, and one for over a decade as a faculty member at Penn State and at IUPUI teaching sports journalism. How did your career in the newspaper industry help you as a teacher, professor in the classroom?
Well, it's helped in several ways, and it's hard to believe it's been almost 15 years as of this summer when I made the transition to teaching. But first of all, I've been where the students want to get. So I can demystify a lot of it. I mean, obviously there's luck involved, but there are certain things that you have to be able to deliver consistently to be a solid candidate for internships and eventually full-time jobs at that level. So I can certainly help with that, having been there. The other thing is the industry had started to change with its use of technology in different forms when I was still involved in the day-to-day coverage. And through the different events I've been able to take students to, I've been able to consistently monitor those changes since then. So I've had a front row seat both as an active reporter and then since then in my current position to know exactly what's being done now in the industry and in some cases what's next, which is really valuable information for our students to have.
Which leads me to my next question. Over the course of your career, you've seen so many changes to the business of journalism. What changes do you think have been the most important, and where do you see the field going in the future?
Well, the pressures that are related to the immediacy as a result of the technology. I mean, it used to be if you came upon a significant piece of information at noon, you might have 9 or 10 hours to develop that story, do more research, speak to more sources, talk to your editors, and decide how we're going to handle this. Now, you might be lucky if you have 9 to 10 minutes. And so the advanced preparation and knowing how to proceed and the importance of, despite the time demands, including strong context in your story, which usually takes time to develop. I mean, all those things have changed dramatically in the last 10 to 15 years, and that's one of the greatest sources of pressure.
Now, you've covered bowl games, national championships, Final Fours, the World Series, Super Bowls, even the Olympic Games. Is there one event that stands out in your mind as behind the events the most memorable?
Well, it's hard to narrow down because I have been really fortunate, and I've had a front row seat to some of the most memorable occasions in the last 30, 40 years, as hard as that is to believe. But if I had to pick one, I would pick the first Olympic marathon for women, which was in Los Angeles in '84. That was my first Olympics. I had covered marathons on a fairly regular basis at that point for 6 or 7 years. And so I knew the most successful people. And as hard as it is to believe now, prior to that marathon, there still was that lingering Neanderthal thinking that suggested that there shouldn't be an Olympic marathon for women, that they couldn't handle it. You know, the heat will get them, the distance will get them, which clearly was ridiculous. I mean, anybody that had covered marathons had known that for years. But to be in the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum that Sunday afternoon with 90,000 people and a worldwide audience, and see Joan Benoit coming through the tunnel first, 5+ years after she first won in Boston, and then see Greta Weitz not too far afterwards, after she had already started dominating the New York City Marathon, and to have a front page story in the New York Times at a point where that happened very seldom with sports related topics. I mean, that was probably the highlight for me.
That's got to be so challenging to narrow that down to one, but what a great example. Now, one of your projects during your career and your tenure at IUPUI has been opening the door for students who are striving for their own career as a sports reporter by arranging for a small group of them each year to be credentialed to cover the college football national championship and the NCAA Final Four. Can you talk about the satisfaction that you felt doing that each year and the experience for these students?
It's very hard to describe, Ira, because it's enormous. I mean, this year, for instance, we had 7 students that covered the 66 games of the NCAA tournament, all in person, at a time when a lot of professional media members, for one reason or another, were covering it virtually. And I was not sitting next to them. I mean, I was at the Final Four, but I was not on the floor. I was upstairs. Alex Burr, who's one of our graduate students, was on the floor. So the normal role that I could play, where I'm sitting at their elbow and there's a running conversation where I can guide them, that wasn't able to happen this year, other than the occasional text or email or phone call if necessary. And I always have to remind myself, when I see how well they do and how professionally they navigate through these challenging events, that they've never done anything like this before. And you would never know it from the quality of the work that you see on our website and others, including ncaa.com, and in the professionalism that they show, the way they carry themselves. So it's an enormous level of satisfaction to see them take on that kind of challenge and do so well.
And then finally, you've been a great friend of CoSIDA and the sports information profession throughout your career. What advice would you offer to a young SID who's trying to shape their approach to working with the media?
It's still, and it will always be, a relationship business. And yes, there have been spectacular developments in technology that can help in the execution of that role. But to me, the most important piece of advice is to not allow the technology to get in the way of relationship building, because communication is still built on relationships, especially when your institution might be dealing with subject matter that is controversial or sensitive. Yes, to a point, you can help people understand the complexity through electronic communication, but there's nothing like the face-to-face, as we've seen pretty dramatically in the last 14, 15 months. And so please do whatever you can to build those relationships.
That is some extremely useful advice from a man who we honor today. Malcom, thank you for your time. And once again, on behalf of CoSIDA, we congratulate you on winning the Keith Jackson Eternal Flame Award. Congratulations.
Thanks, Ira, and thanks to everyone that had a hand in this. It's been a while since I was first informed, but it's still just as overwhelming. So thanks for that.
Thank you, Malcom. And we now welcome to our CoSIDA Special Awards video tributes, Jim Carr, President and CEO of the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, the NAIA. Jim is recipient of our distinguished 2021 Keith Jackson Eternal Flame Award. As we mentioned previously in our interview with Malcom Moran, the Keith Jackson Award is presented to an individual who has made a lasting contribution to intercollegiate athletics, has demonstrated a long and consistent commitment to excellence, and has been a loyal supporter of CoSIDA and its mission. Jim, welcome and congratulations.
Thanks, Ira. Good to be here with you, and just honored to receive this special award.
Well, under your direction, the NAIA has grown substantially in both membership and revenue generation. And with your guidance, the NAIA support and advocacy for athletic communication directors, SID staff expansion, and educational and advancement opportunities for NAIA communications professionals has also grown substantially. We thank you for that. Can you tell us about the impact and importance that SIDs bring to your campuses and your conferences?
Yeah, I've been at the NAIA for 23 years, and since early on when I got there, it became pretty obvious to me that our sports information directors were a critical link on our campuses and our conferences between student athletes in the competition and lots of different audiences. I think campus SIDs have such a great opportunity these days, and really a responsibility to make sure that people on campus really understand the importance of athletics and how the institution as a whole can really support them and the student athletes. And then, of course, externally, where a lot of people think of the role of the sports information director, to make sure that those audiences really just know of all the incredible things that are going on campus, the stories of the student athletes, of course, the kind of meat and potatoes of the scores and the statistics and those kinds of things. But today, sports information directors or athletics communication professionals are so much more than that. And with the technology and the platforms available, it's almost limitless in terms of what our sports information directors can do, which I guess is a little bit of a blessing and a curse, because it's a lot of ways to get the word out, but also makes it for a job that's almost endless at times. But I just think it's important for us as an association to make sure we're supporting our SIDs and in ways that make sure that our campus leaders understand just how important that role is, not only for athletics, but for the institution as a whole.
What do you think has been the most important contributions that SIDs have made to the NAIA over the years?
I think it's around improving the ways in which we get the word out about the NAIA. We have a great staff at the national office. Brad Saigon heads up that area for us, and we've had other great leaders like Chad Waller and in the past. But there's only so much that our small staff can do, and so I think it really is a community of executives or administrators in the SID community within the NAIA, and they take pride in not only getting the word out about their own student athletes, but helping us to identify other stories and to help promote those with their colleagues around the country. So just the importance of making sure that the NAIA gets its deserved recognition, and small colleges in general have a tough time finding their space, and so sports information directors are really key to that.
Now, you're the first NAIA official to be honored with CoSIDA's Keith Jackson Eternal Flame Award, which is considered to be one of our highest honors. What does this recognition mean to you?
Well, it means a ton to me personally. I guess just on a personal note, I'm old enough where I remember listening to Keith Jackson do college football games, and with that voice of his, and the Whoa Nellies and all that kind of stuff. But so it's fun from that perspective. But the most important thing is it means a lot to me, because it means the NAIA is being recognized. And I've been at the NAIA for 23 years, and it's a an association that has 77,000 student athletes and a big presence within intercollegiate athletics, but sometimes gets overlooked and in the shadow of the NCAA. So for the NAIA to be a part of this and to be recognized by CoSIDA and the leaders there, and I just a quick personal note of thanks to Doug and Barb and Lori and all the great folks at CoSIDA for keeping the NAIA as part of their mission and making sure that we have a place, and just so grateful for that. So primarily it means a lot to me that I can represent the NAIA and receive this award.
Well, because NAIA has got a pretty big place in CoSIDA, because this is a special year for NAIA members, as Cindy Potter of Columbia College will become CoSIDA president in June, and she'll serve in that role during the 2021-2022 academic year. And hopefully we'll be back in person for that convention next year in Las Vegas. Cindy will be the 5th female, but the first ever NAIA representative to lead CoSIDA. Could you give some thoughts on this historic moment for NAIA leadership?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the first thing that comes to mind is just Cindy's the best. I mean, she's such an NAIA cheerleader, and she's kind of like an extension of our staff when we're at our convention and other places. And I'm just always amazed at how she can juggle all the things with her family and other responsibilities she has, and it seems like every championship where Columbia College is there, Cindy's there to support them. And the fact that she is recognized by CoSIDA as being a leader that's worthy of being at the head of the parade, worthy of being the president of CoSIDA, is something that I think is very special, and really a tribute to Cindy mostly, but something that's very important and very nice for the NAIA to share in as well.
Now, you've referred to SIDs as selfless and the true servant leaders in college athletics. What advice would you give to SIDs in the NAIA who are looking to bolster their professional impact, make career advancements, and have a bigger influence in decision-making? And how can they get more involved in the NAIA themselves to assist themselves?
Yeah, I think my answer to this may sound a little bit strange, because I do believe wholeheartedly that SIDs, more than pretty much anyone in our association, maybe along with trainers, are selfless and the servant leaders day in and day out. But my advice would be to be bold, to be willing to go into the leaders on campus and talk to them about ideas that they may have for not just promoting the athletic department, but they're really on the inside and get to know the student athletes. So what are the ways in which they think that the athletic department can get better and better serve our student athletes? And that comes with some risk and coming out of your comfort zone a little bit. But I think most SIDs are very well positioned, not only come up with ideas and talk about those, but to create the plan of execution. And at least most leaders that I know are always welcoming those kinds of ideas, that especially supported by detail around execution. And so I would just encourage sports information directors to do that. And in addition to that, I think it's like most other roles or professions, is to stay on top of the latest trends and continue to support CoSIDA. I think that's one of the many great things that CoSIDA does, is to make sure that SIDs are well equipped with understanding technology, social media platforms, all the various ways in which SIDs can better do their job. So stay connected to CoSIDA, but also be active on your campus and be willing to go to the leaders on campus or the conference or wherever you might be, and to share those ideas.
Well, thanks to your leadership, along with our NAIA SIDA leaders, you've made a push to create NAIA's own CoSIDA Academic All-America Division back in the 2018-19 academic year. So this move has led to CoSIDA recognizing hundreds of NAIA student athletes each year. What has the NAIA Academic All-America program meant to the NAIA as an association?
It's been incredible. It's been, I think, everything we hoped it would be. When we were in a grouping with other associations and other schools, and this is nothing against our friends at the NJCA or anywhere else, but we always felt like NAIA student athletes, both academically and athletically, were on par and still are on par with NCAA Division II and NCAA Division III, and so they deserve to have their own recognition. And so CoSIDA being willing to listen to us and talk with us and work with us to make that happen has been terrific. And again, the real credit goes to not only CoSIDA, but our staff back then, led by Chad Waller and Alan Grossbach, to really make that happen. So we just thank CoSIDA for making that change, and want to continue to do whatever we need to do to be a good partner in that.
Well, Jim, we again thank you for your time today. Thank you for your service and commitment to college athletics, leadership and academics, and to CoSIDA and the athletic communications profession. Congratulations once again on receiving our 2021 Keith Jackson Eternal Flame Award.
Thank you, Aaron. Thanks to CoSIDA.